What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV here, and the Premier League is back. It all gets underway this weekend, starting tonight with Manchester United against Fulham, and we got to wait all weekend to see Spurs on Monday night away at Leicester at the King Power. But how lucky are you guys out there? Not only do you get 2 live streams from us, you get a new signing through the door, and it looks like he will be in the frame to take part at the King Power on Monday night. He will be in the squad. They're saying he will be registered just in time. So we're going to get into our match preview. We're going to get into our predicted lineup. But first of all, how are you feeling the Premier League is back?
It's good we got in the signings beforehand before they break our hearts on Monday night by losing. So all this positivity, and then Spurs will probably ruin it after the weekend.
Never.
Of course not. I'm really, really excited for the season, obviously. I'm really excited about Odegaard. I think it's a really smart piece of business. I'm really liking the approach we're going with the transfers this year, not chasing after big names, albeit big names obviously get people very excited, and it gets maybe you can make statement signings. But I really like the fact that we've looked at the data of Odegaard, we've looked at what he can give us in the team, and I think he gives us something that we're really missing. And I'm really excited about having bring him to the group. And he's someone who's going to be desperate to prove himself at Tottenham, desperate to play for us. And I think he can really give us something that the other 3 wingers we have don't have. So I'm super excited about what he's going to do. Hopefully he makes his debut this weekend and we get to see him in the flesh. But yeah, look, with the new season just around the corner, you know, Ange's second season, they do usually go very well for him. So
not usually, every time.
Every time. So let's see how it goes.
All right. Well, we're going to do an opposition preview. We've got Locks from Blue Tinted Fox to join us today. So let's bring him on and get the Leicester perspective on the game this weekend. Locks, how you doing, my friend? Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for asking me on, lads. Much appreciated. Looking forward to this one.
Yeah, and, you know, no matter what kind of form the 2 teams are going into it, Leicester Spurs does usually produce fireworks. How are you feeling first year back in the Premier League?
Well, I mean, where to start? I don't think you'll ever see a club or a set of fans less excited for a Premier League season than Leicester fans this year. It's been awful. I think, you know, it started off, the summer began with us losing our manager, Enzo Maresca. He wasn't a fan favourite, I wouldn't say, but still it was not what we needed going into a new season. And then, you know, things got worse. We lost Kieran Dewsbury Hall, of course. I think the appointment of Steve Cooper, a very uninspiring choice, not a popular one within the Leicester fan base. I know you guys know Wolfie from Forest Fan TV. He did warn me about Steve Cooper. And yeah, the lack of transfers. I think we started the window quite strong. We brought in a couple squad players. Bobby Decordova-Reid from Fulham, I think, was a good addition in terms of the versatility that he offers. We signed Michael Golding, a young talent from Chelsea, as part of the Dewsbury Hall deal. That's one for the future. But other than that, no one really to come in and make an impact in the first team, to be honest with you. Where, you know, we've been linked with players like Wilfried Zaha, Adam Klozek from Bayer Leverkusen. Those deals have fallen apart in the latter stages. So yeah, Leicester fans really, really not looking forward to the season, not looking forward to Monday. We're really worried about how heavy the scoreline actually might be in favour of Tottenham on Monday.
Really?
Wow.
You're looking at it that way? I mean, I thought it was going to be a bit more of a close encounter, and it's mad to think the way Leicester have gone, you know, not so long ago, winning the FA Cup, winning the Premier League title. There has been a few rumours about potential sanctions, points deductions this season. Is that still on the table?
Yeah, to be honest with you, I think we'd struggle to stay up regardless. But then you add in the points deduction that we're due, or that's due to come our way, and it's not looking good. I mean, you know, there's rumours that it could be anywhere up to 12 points, which is significant. That would be the biggest one so far. I think we absolutely smashed the limit, the PSR limit. The year we got relegated, that was the problem. And look, you know, the board are getting a lot of criticism, and I agree with it, but the problem was that we had the 8th highest wage bill in the Premier League when we got relegated. We lost players for free, like Yuri Tillemans, Kagler Soyuncu. They went on freeze. And we got relegated at the end of the day. You lose that TV money as well. That's what's caused the FFP issues. And now because of that, you know, we can't spend as much. We've got money, but we can't spend it in case of breaching again. That's the problem. So yeah, we are guilty of a breach in 22-23. We will be getting punished for that at some point, but we seem to be kicking the can down the road a little bit because we keep appealing every stage, and we know it's coming, but we just don't know when exactly.
So you said the appointment of Steve Cooper has been underwhelming. Obviously, you had quite a big philosophy, like under Maresca, possession-based football. Even though, surprisingly, you're saying he wasn't a fan favourite, considering how well you did last season. How are you already seeing a big difference in pre-season compared to what Maresca was playing to what Cooper's going to be playing?
Well, we expected, the criticisms of Enzo Maresca last season were it was quite boring to watch. I think you'll hear a lot of Chelsea fans saying that this season, to be honest with you. A lot of criticism that went Enzo's way was because of no apparent plan B, and when Steve Cooper was announced, a small percentage of the fan base did get excited, thinking, oh, we'll be more pragmatic, and all of this. And we did expect quite a big change in the way we played, but what's actually happened is Steve Cooper's coming in he's playing a half-hearted Enzo ball. He's keeping the main principles there, but it's kind of a weird middle of, Enzo ball and pragmatico ball, if you like. So, when we win the ball back in the friendlies, we've had a really bad preseason. I think we played like Villarreal in like a training match, but other than that, we beat Shrewsbury, but then lost to Palermo, and we lost 3-0. We got battered by Lens last weekend, 3-0. So it's the worst preseason I've seen of a Leicester team in many years. And, for example, when we win the ball back, we kind of get through the first line okay, but we don't really know what to do with it after that. The attacking options are limited. I think we were starting the season with Jamie Vardy, Patson Daka, and Tom Cannon, and now we've just heard that Patson Daka is injured for a few months after an ankle injury in pre-season. So Jamie Vardy's injured for the match on Monday. So we're stuck with Tom Cannon, who was an £8 million buy last summer from Everton. Again, one for the future apparently. And Enzo didn't really rate him, and Steve Cooper doesn't, because he's playing Mavididi, the winger, as a striker over him. So, yeah, honestly, Steve Cooper, I think he had a big job on his hands to come in and actually try and get the Leicester fans excited, but it's been the complete opposite. Nothing is exciting us at the minute. There's no players that we're linked with. The only player now that we're actually linked with is Jordan Ayew from Palace. Make of that what you will. If he's your hope of staying up in the Premier League, I think we're doomed, to be honest with you.
There's two players I want to talk to you about. Obviously, two former players going up against each other in James Maddison and Harry Winks today. And you talk about fans' favourite, and he might not have been a fan's favourite by the end of it, but it was definitely this guy to the right of me's favourite when he was leaving the club, in Harry Winks. How's he getting on? Tottenham boy.
Last season, he was... he was the glue, really, in the Enzo team. He was just sat there. He was dictating the play, which is, for a player of Winks' level, in the Championship, you'd expect him to be able to do that. There were concerns last season defensively, as you guys are probably aware, more than me. There's doubts there over him defensively. It looks like this season it will be like a double pivot of him and Wilfred Ndidi. So, yeah, look, I think Harry Winks is probably the best calibre of player that we could actually have in this Leicester team at the moment. We're not linked with any midfielders. Doesn't look like we're bringing anyone in. He did well last season, don't get me wrong. He was probably one of the players of the season, I think probably just down to how important he was in the Enzo system. But, yeah, like I said, there's concerns there in the Premier League, at this level, defensively more than anything, what contribution he'll make.
And James Maddison, I mean, we bought him. We were very excited about him. He actually hit the ground running massively first 10 games of the season, got that big injury, and hasn't really recaptured that form yet. Does that surprise you at all, or is that something that you've seen before with him returning back from injury?
Oh, yeah. Every Leicester fan was expecting this to happen at Tottenham. First half of the season, great. So I don't know if you know this, his middle name's Arthur, so a few of us did used to call him James Arthur Season Maddison. So you can use that one in the future. But yeah, it's just typical Madders, I think. It's just what happens. He starts the season really strong, even in our relegation season. He was absolutely incredible. I think he scored 2 goals against you, maybe, that season as well. And then he just seems to drop off. I think the year we got relegated, it was kind of weird. I think he was pushing for that World Cup spot, and then after the World Cup, it fell apart really. You know, he wasn't providing as much, he wasn't offering as much. And I remember a game in particular against Everton, he actually took a penalty off Yuri Tillemans and missed it. And you know, if he scored it, we probably would have stayed up. So look, he's a hell of a player. On his day, he's a hell of a player. And I remember Tottenham fans getting really, really, really excited, you know, last season in the first half of the year. So, but he does have problems. I don't know what injury he's got now, or he has had, but
he's fine now.
Always seems to be a problem. Okay. So his hip always seems to be, or it used to be a problem at Leicester every year. He'd miss a load of games because of his hip. But after those injuries, he just wouldn't be the same player until the following season. So,
do you feel like he will be a success at Tottenham by the end of it?
I don't know. I think you guys will naturally, you know, look to improve in the position. I think at the moment, you know, he's probably a good. I spoke to some Spurs fans who said he might not start for you guys at the start of this season.
I think he will. I think he will.
Okay. Well, especially against Leicester, because I think the type of person he is, the type of player he is, he'll be proper up for. You know, he backs himself. He'll be up for this game, and you know, I don't know if he'd celebrate if he scores. Maybe he won't do that, but he'll definitely want to score against us. Absolutely, of course he will. Because every player that leaves Leicester gets loads of stick from our fans, and you know, Maddison's not escaped that. So if he can score a goal and shut us up, I'm sure he'd love to. So,
you're expecting a frosty reception for Maddison on Monday night then?
Yeah, I think every player that's left us to go to a bigger club has had a frosty reception, other than N'Golo Kante. I think that was the only one, if I'm honest with you. You know, everyone else is you know, had it offers. So, you know, rightly or wrongly, it's just how some fans can be. But yeah, I think it'll be frosty for sure. I think, you know, there'll be some stick from the fans given to him, and like I said, he'll take that though. He'll love that, and he'll want to kind of give it back. You see Maddison getting into spats online with Neil Maupay, for example, and I've seen Jamie Carragher in the past. You know, he loves it, so it'll probably cheer him up to put in a better performance, to be honest with you.
Yeah, talking about frosty receptions, I feel like ever since Spurs and Leicester went head-to-head for that Premier League title back in 2015, there's been a bit of I wouldn't say a bit of a forced rivalry, a bit of animosity between the two teams, mainly coming from Leicester towards Tottenham, I feel, whenever we go to the King Power ever since that season. Like, do you think that's true? Do you feel there's a certain animosity from Leicester towards Tottenham?
Yeah, I mean, it's banter at the end of the day. You know, you're a bigger club than we are, and you're a bigger club than we'll ever be. So obviously, naturally, I suppose some parts of the fan base force a rivalry in a way. I think, you know, that season for 2015-16, you know, it will go down in history for the in the history of the Premier League, not just for Leicester fans. And you know, you were right with us for the large part. You know, your fans, your players even. I remember Harry Kane putting photographs on social media of like a lion and chasing a fox or whatever, and you know, that just obviously added to it. And then when you did drop off and Arsenal came second in the end, obviously that led to all the banter. So I get what you're saying. Ever since then, there's been this kind of rivalry from Leicester's side. Obviously you guys probably don't care, but it will add to the occasion. I mean, you remember the game a couple of seasons ago where, you know, those two last-minute goals. You know, that adds to it. There's a bit of history between the two clubs over the last 10 years. That all adds to it. So it's all banter in my eyes, but I'm sure some fans out there will say that they do hate Tottenham, but I'm not really.
How long do you reckon it takes on Monday night for the Leicester fans to start singing "Who Came Third in the Two-Horse Race"?
20 seconds probably. before kickoff. Yeah, it'll be before kickoff.
Yeah, there's been some mad games, haven't there? Go on.
Yeah, I was going to say, one thing for you guys to watch out for though is how toxic the ground actually might get very quickly. Because like I said, there's a lot of toxicity at the minute towards the board for some of the decisions they've made. So if you do score an early goal or a couple of goals even in the first half, I think the ground will get really, really ugly. In the first game. You know, even last season we were winning every game in the Championship, and you know, when we had a couple of dodgy performances, there was some toxicity there. So I think it's probably just a product of how successful we've been in the previous 10 years to now that certain fans expect to be, you know, pushing for top 6 and all of this. It's a bit silly, but if you do score early goals, I think it could go 5-0 if I'm honest with you. To be honest.
Wow.
And I know Vardy's not going to be playing on Monday, but do you like? He didn't do too well last time he was in the Premier League, but last season he did get 18 goals in the Championship. So, are you feeling like when he comes back to full fitness, he actually will be able to carry that on and score goals again in the Premier League at 37?
I don't. Yeah, there's doubts. I mean, yeah, he had a bad season the last year, but so did pretty much everyone, other than maybe Maddison, you could say. Last season he didn't even start the year as our main starter, our main number 9. It was kind of between Iheanacho and Patson Daka, but they both dropped off, and Vardy came in and he just kept going. So nothing surprises us anymore with Jamie Vardy. It wouldn't surprise us if he came into this season and ended up scoring 15 goals. He's a freak of nature. He's an absolute freak. But I can't see it happening this year. I think he's just signed a new 1-year deal. We've got him in the club now until next June, and of course it would be great for him to kind of bow out in style, but I think it's he's picking up more injuries these days. He doesn't really train in the week anymore. By the way, he plays a game and then probably only trains one day the following week, and then he misses the next game, and it's really tough for him at his age. No one can blame him. It'd be nice to see him score a few, but I can't see it happening.
What's your opinion on Spurs? How do you look at Spurs after the first year of Ange Postecoglou? What do you think that we can achieve this year? And do you like the business that Spurs doing at the moment?
I do. I've just seen your latest signing. When you see a fan base talk so highly of a player, and they seem really upset that he's leaving, that gives you a good good sign basically of what type of player he is. I mean, Bergvall looks like an exciting player. I'm looking forward to seeing what he can do. This is what I was saying about Maddison. Does he come in for Maddison maybe later on in the season? But
he is only 18 years of age, so yeah.
Yes, exactly. Archie Gray, by the way, I mean, what a player, what a talent. Last season, saw him twice, obviously, against Leicester. And he looks like he could be, obviously. People say this about a lot of players, but he could be a generational talent. He looks that good. Versatile as well, of course, right back in midfield. So, I think your business is good, to be honest with you. I did a Premier League prediction video the other day, and I actually said 5th. And I think you'll be pushing for 4th. I think you guys would love to finish 4th. I think it's going to be tight. I think Man City and Arsenal will probably run away with it. But then 3rd to 6th, it could be anyone. So I could see you getting top 4. I've predicted 5th, and I think that's not a terrible season for you. It's quite a good year. So.
And yeah, moving on to the game, you said you wouldn't be surprised if Spurs do win 5-0 this weekend, but you said it's like a half-assed Maresca ball. So does that mean it's going to be a 4-3-3 this weekend? Tom Cannon up front, because I saw Fatawu is playing up front in some pre-season games.
Mavididi was playing up front.
Mavididi.
So Cooper has been playing Mavididi there instead of Cannon for whatever reason. So it could be either. It'll be Cannon or Mavididi. It'll be one of them that start up front. I hope it's Cannon, an out-and-out striker. He showed good signs last year, but Cooper's been favouring Mavididi. I think he did play there when he was in France at Montpellier. He did play as a striker sometimes. So probably a 4-3-3. Abdul Fatawi, like you mentioned, is all our hopes are on him, I think, at the moment, because he was on a loan with obligation to buy last season, did really well, and we've obviously made that permanent now. I think he'll be sold on in the future for 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 million. He's
really that good?
Yeah, he's that good. Yeah, hopefully everyone will see him this year how good he is. But I think it's a lot of pressure to put all your safety hopes on a 19-year-old kid. I'm worried about Solanke, by the way. The 1 year you kind of lost Harry Kane and didn't really replace him. We were in the Championship, and now that we're back, you've got Solanke. He used to love scoring goals against Leicester, by the way. So if he does start on Monday, I wouldn't be surprised if he gets a goal. All of this is just adding to the anxiety and panic we have as Leicester fans. A lot of fans are expecting the worst, hoping for the best, of course, but expecting the worst.
So score prediction?
I'm going to say 3-0. It could be 5, but I'm going to say 3-0. I think we're struggling to score goals. We're struggling to create chances, even defensively. When we've been in a low block at times in pre-season, even then we're we're conceding a lot of chances. Connor Cody, it looked like was going to be the preferred choice for Cooper this year, but he's now injured as well. So it's going to be probably Wout Faes and Yannick Vestergaard, who were our partnership last year. So not a great Premier League centre-back pairing, but yeah, 3-0 Tottenham. I think you'll probably win it by half-time, to be honest with you.
Out of interest, are you any good at set pieces, attacking set pieces?
No.
That's music to our ears, because we're very poor at defending them.
Might be all right.
Yeah. I think the last time we were good at set pieces was when Robert Huth scored against you in 2016. Okay. Yeah.
I remember I was sitting right behind that goal.
yeah, we're no good attacking or defending, so yeah, no chance there.
Well, I'll tell you what, Locks, I want to thank you very much for coming on, and you've definitely made me a lot more confident going into the game this weekend, because we did a preview show yesterday and I was saying I think it's going to be a really tight game. I think Leicester fans are going to be bang up for it, and first game back in the Premier League, I thought there was definitely going to be a performance raiser from the Leicester team coming into it. So I still think there might be, but you've definitely made me a lot more confident coming into this.
Yeah, with all due respect, I think you're really wrong. I think this will be quite comfortable for you, and I don't think the fans will be up for it, to be honest. So yeah.
Wow. Well, anyone wants to go and see more of Locks, some really good Foxes content, go and check out Blue Tinted Fox. But thank you so much for coming on today, Locks, and good luck for the season.
Yeah, my pleasure. Good luck after Monday, and I hope to chat to you later in the season, mate. Yeah.
100%. Cheers, mate.
Cheers, thank you.
Wow. I didn't expect that. First game back in the Premier League.
Well, you look at the business they've done, lost
it makes
manager.
Sense,
it does make sense. Even though, did they get a record last season for points in the Championship, or was it?
I'm not sure if it was a record. They did kind of tail off quite a bit, didn't they? Because they were top by miles, and then they were second for a bit. I don't know.
It's interesting to hear him say though that Maresca wasn't a fan favourite, considering Chelsea have, basically put a lot of their project on him, giving the new manager, giving him all these signings, and hearing him saying Leicester fans weren't even that bothered with him when he won the Championship, winning it. So it's quite interesting to hear that. It
is very interesting, and maybe plays into what we were saying yesterday on the ball, that Maresca gone by Christmas.
I wouldn't be surprised based on that. We'll have to wait and see. But yeah, look, it's sad to be honest to hear a fan of a newly promoted team have such a lack of excitement.
Yeah,
you would think. I know Leicester are no strangers to the Premier League, but when you have that rush of excitement being promoted again, you would think being back in the Premier League, there's going to be a buzz around the place. And it's sad to hear that they're pretty much resigned to going back down before a ball is kicked, which is really a depressing thought when they're from a newly promoted team.
Yeah, it really is. But look, let's get into the preview. And look, it's no surprise. I mean, I did predict them to finish. Well, I predicted Man City to finish bottom, but Leicester, the next team above them. So yeah, I am kind of expecting it. We'll see if they get 12 points deduction. That's pretty much done, isn't it?
Yeah, I can't see them overcoming that. It's going to be a tall order even without that. And they, even if they're going to have a shot of staying up, they'll basically need Vardy to hit similar numbers he got in the Championship.
They need Daka to step up, yeah.
They need Daka to step up. Daka wasn't very good in the Premier League. Vardy obviously can do it in the Premier League, but last time he was there wasn't very good. So, I mean, it's big. It's a tall order. It's a tall order to see them staying up, especially as well. They're going to have to do it by not playing the way they got promoted and switch things up like that with a squad of players who were very used to playing a certain way and got a lot of success playing with Maresca. To switch it up and then get success playing with Cooper is going to be even harder.
So I just want to let you know the lines will be open. We'll be taking callers after we do the match preview and predicted lineup. So let's get straight into the match preview. It is Leicester against Tottenham at the King Power, which is usually a very feisty atmosphere, particularly when it's a night game, midweek game under the lights. And but Locke said it ain't going to be, Leicester fans are not going to be up for this whatsoever, which I do still find kind of hard to believe. First game back in the Premier League, no matter how you're coming into the season, under the lights, You've got hours to get those pints down your neck. I'm telling you, the atmosphere will be ferocious from the start. Maybe if Spurs can get a goal or two early doors, maybe then the ferocity from the Leicester fans will come out. But I do think the atmosphere will be big to come into it.
But from what you've seen from Tottenham and also in pre-season, we definitely like to come out the traps flying, try and get an early goal, try and set the tone early in the game. And if we can do that, quieten the crowd early doors, and it can't, and you know, if we can take the lead early and the crowd start to turn on Leicester, it can get a bit ugly, I reckon. So be very interesting. But games at the King Power between Spurs and Leicester, there's been a lot of very good ones. In the, you know, you think 6-1 we won there, back under Pochettino. You
3-2.
think the 3-2 under Bergwijn last season we got battered 4-1
2 seasons ago.
Sorry, 2 seasons ago, the last time we played them. So there's been some great games, but this is probably the most confident I've been beating a Leicester side in a while, to be honest, because usually they always give us a tough game. Yeah,
absolutely. Looking at the form of the two teams coming into it, I mean, not too much to go on because it's pre-season form, but look at that. Leicester, 3 losses on the bounce, 1 win in their last 5. Spurs do have 2 losses on the bounce. However, we did come up against a Bayern Munich side, once in Korea, once back in London. But look at that, 2 goals scored for Leicester in their last 5 games of pre-season.
That's the thing. Who's going to score? Because Vardy actually scored in their opening pre-season against Villarreal. They beat them, and you know that's positive. But he's been injured ever since then, and they're really struggling to get goals. And who's going to be getting goals in the Premier League? And I think that pre-season shows that there could be a lot of struggle to get those goals, to be honest. I think it's emblematic of the problem. Then Cooper isn't the most expansive manager anyway, so they're going to have to take the chances when they come, and it's going to be difficult to see who's taking them.
They've played 5 games in pre-season. They opened up with a win against Villarreal, then a win against Shrewsbury, and then they've lost to Palermo, Augsburg and Lens without scoring a goal in their last 3 pre-season games.
So it's no surprise that Locks is coming into such negativity. They're not scoring goals, they're losing games, and they haven't had the best summer, have they? So it's quite worrying as a Leicester fan. And I know pre-season you can't really make too many sweeping judgments, but I think one thing what you say about pre-season is I don't think you can get too positive about it. But I also think you can definitely, when things are like that, you can't score a goal. That's got to be a big concern, even if it is just pre-season. The fact that I don't know how many chances they've created, but the fact you can't put the ball in the back of the net, you know, with the lead up to the season, you know, if you're a Leicester fan, you've got to be looking at that thinking, is that going to be emblematic of the problems we're going to have this season?
He mentions Fatawu as being, you know, the danger man for Leicester. Is that what they sing for him? He's the one that's, you know, he's coming on a permanent this summer after being on loan, a good successful season last year. But apart from that, the business that they have done is Bobby Deckelt-over-Reed, Michael Golding for $6 million from Chelsea. I have no clue who he is.
Probably.
Caleb Okoli from Atalanta for $12 million, and Buonanotte on loan from Brighton, who I actually thought was a fairly decent player last year, Buonanotte.
He was, but he was a squad player at Brighton. Yeah. And when he did play, he was good, but he wasn't.
He's 19. He was 18 last season.
Yeah, he's not exactly getting goal contributions galore. Look, but I think he's a good player. Don't get me wrong.
3 goals and an assist last year.
If you're relying on him, I don't know if that's I don't know how successful that's going to be. Fatawu, as you say, he's an exciting player, but you know, this is the Premier League up against such unbelievable talent, and it's going to be very difficult for them. But I do think they got some good players. I think, look, Harry Winks is a good player, albeit what I would say is I think it really suited him playing Maresca football, and I don't know how he's going to do playing Cooper football. I think it's less suited to him.
Well, I was actually watching an interview from Harry Winks, and he was saying, first of all, he was highlighting the problems that Spurs do have, saying that, you know, Spurs are a very good side, but they've definitely got defensive vulnerabilities, which we're going to look to exploit. But what he was saying about the differences between Cooper and Maresca, he said Cooper's come in and he hasn't really changed much. He's trying to carry on what Maresca was trying to do. And it's interesting because it plays into what Locks was saying as well about it's kind of similar to Maresca ball, but it's kind of a half-ass because he was saying this is the Premier League now, though. You're going to have to try and get points in different ways because we're not going to be the best team, or they're not going to be the best team in the league by any stretch of the imagination, and they're going to come up against, you know, solid outfits week in, week out. So they're going to need to find different kind of avenues.
Reality is, if you're just copying Maresca and it's not your plan, then how successful could it ever be? Because Maresca's the one who's, you know, adopted this idea. He's the one who's implemented it. It's his vision. And if Cooper's coming in and saying, I'm not going to change much, well, It's not your vision. So how well do you know the system? Like, do you know it as perfectly as Maresca? Can you implement it as well as Maresca can? Do you have full belief like Maresca did in that system? I always feel like managers, to be really successful, they have to come in and implement their own style on the team and put their own footprint on it. And if he's just coming in copying the last guy, that's a bit of a red flag for me. Like, you've got to come in and have belief in your own methods rather than saying, I'm not going to change much, because if it's not your plan, like, how well do you actually know it? Like, that's got to be a bit of an issue for me. So we'll see how well he does. Look, he did all right at Forest, Cooper. He kept them up a couple times, and then also got them promoted from the Championship, and they really liked him there at Forest. I think he was a former player there, I think, so he had a bit of goodwill. But Cooper, they did like Cooper, so I do think he's a good manager. I just think he's coming into a really difficult situation here.
It feels like it's like just a complete uphill battle, and basically the writing's on the wall a bit for Cooper already, and he hasn't even started.
Yeah, it reminds like me. Who was it? I'm trying to remember. Who was that former Villa manager, Smith? Like, he joined like a newly promoted team as well because they lost their manager, and like they just kind of picked like someone who did a decent job somewhere else. And I think he came in to manage Norwich maybe when they lost.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah,
and like they just brought him in because he did all right at Villa, and like maybe it could work because after Farke left, who's like a real fan favourite, or did really well, and he completely flopped. And it reminds me of that kind of appointment. Like, they kind of just got him in because he did okay at Forest, but do they have full belief he's the right guy?
What's different to our Nuno appointment?
The Nuno was a disaster.
But that's the same kind of vibe.
Yeah, we had no one. We just brought him in. But Nuno was a bit different because we had a lot of time to plan without Mourinho. They were kind of, Maresca's left at the beginning of the summer. It's kind of been forced upon them. But I get what you're saying. It's like a guy who, did the board really have full belief in it? Did they really plan with him in mind? I don't know. I just feel like they've taken a punt on him because he kept Forest up, and they're thinking, can he do the same with us?
Yeah. We were mentioning before about the past games between Spurs and Leicester, and if you just bring up this graphic, I mean, that just shows you it's always a mad game when Spurs play Leicester. We did lose 4-1, but before that, what a great record. I think it was 6-1, not 6-2.
No, 6-2.
It was 6-2? It
was 6-2.
Was that what was the last game of the season one when Lamela scored 2? Was that 4-2 one?
No, that was at Wembley. That was 5-4, I think.
5-4, that was it.
5-4
mad game.
Yeah.
Lamela actually scored a hat-trick, but one was given an own goal, right?
Yeah, Harry Kane got a couple. Kyle Walker-Peters, I think, got a hat-trick of assists that day. Had some mad games. That game there, 4-2, that was last day of the season. We knocked Leicester out of the Champions League, beating them at the King Power. Gareth Bale came off the bench and scored twice,
yeah,
I remember
that.
Bergwijn there. The 3-1, that was, I think, Sonny scored from outside the box in that one. And then obviously the 6-2, that was also mad. I think like Tielemans had a penalty miss, I think. Like, they went 1-0 up very early on. Maddison scored that day for Leicester, but we ended up running riot and winning 6. That was the game Sonny came on and scored a hat-trick. He came off the bench. We rested him.
Yeah.
Everyone was getting mad, and then he came off the bench and scored a hat-trick.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we've had this. Usually, it's goals galore when we play Leicester.
Do you expect it to be the same this weekend?
I mean, why not? Because we're going to go for it. And if they're not up for it and we take an early lead, I mean, we could really go for the throw. And it'll be good to set a statement early for Tottenham, get Solanke a goal early. Maybe if Odegaard comes off the bench, he can get a goal contribution. I wouldn't be surprised if we really go for it on Monday night. So I wouldn't be surprised if there's a lot of goals.
I mean, we do go for it every game, don't we?
That's the thing. So why can't there be a lot of goals?
Yeah. If you bring up the Leicester predicted lineup, I mean, it might be slightly different. He did mention Mavropanos is going to play up front and probably Fatawu on the wings, and Vestergaard will probably be in there instead of Okoli, their new signing. But looking at that team, there's not much in that team to suggest that that they can beat us man for man. But with a new team coming into the Premier League first year, you never know how performances can rise.
Of course, you've always got to be a bit wary, and I'm looking at our team, and look, Ndidi on his day was a brilliant defensive midfielder. Winks has had a really good time with it at Leicester. I think Mavropanos and Fatawu could be decent counter-attacking options. Faust was starting for Belgium in the Euros. You've got James Justin, who was a decent fullback as well. But I think a lot of it does go with momentum and feeling around the club, and the fact that it's so negative definitely won't help the situation. I think Cooper's got to make this team better than the sum of its parts, and if there's a a split in the dressing room or a split between the fan base at the moment and the club, then that doesn't help that situation. Everyone needs to be pulling in the same direction, especially when you're in a relegation battle. Those things really can make a difference. So, I mean, I think obviously there are good players there. Look, when you're in the Premier League, every team has good players. But I'm not looking at that team thinking, how do we stop them? I think if we can just dominate possession, I think it's going to be very difficult for them to find those moments of quality on the counter. I think if we press them really aggressively, I can see them giving up chances. I really can.
Yeah, I agree. And one player that's going to be returning to play against us for the first time is Harry Winks, Tottenham boy, Tottenham Academy product. I'm sure he'll get a good reception from the travelling fans. But this is a massive game for him, isn't it? His whole family are Tottenham. They'll be in the crowd, as he stated in the interview I watched. I mean, surely he's going to want to have a big performance in this game.
Of course, and he was asked before the season, who does he want first game? He said Tottenham. He got his wish, and he's going to be out there to prove a lot of people wrong. Because a lot of people wrote him off. A lot of people said he wasn't good enough. Obviously, he had a really good year in the Championship for Leicester. I do worry about how suited he is to this kind of football compared to Maresca. I think the heavy possession base really suited his passing game because he's a very good passer of the ball. So whether we can overrun him or not, I think is going to be a big question mark. When he's taking the ball with his back to play and he's asked to be press resistant in turn, is he going to be able to get away from our midfielders and things like that? That's a big question mark. But maybe if he's backed up by Ndidi, that will help with the legs and he can help cover the space. But I think on his day, in the right system, he's been a good player, but I just question whether this kind of system will suit him. We'll have to wait and see.
Talking about Maddison with Locks before, a bit concerning for me what he was saying about him, knowing him, that he's played for Leicester for a good number of years and he knows him quite well, seeing as we've only had him for a year. And I don't know, did it concern you what he was saying? You know, he was saying that he comes in, plays well, when he gets injured, it's hard for him to recapture that form.
It's not good. I mean, if he has history of it and it's happened again at Tottenham, then it can't be a positive thing. Good thing is he says he always starts the season well. So hopefully, if he is going to be in the first 11 at the start of the season, he does start the season in confident mood and willing to and getting goal contributions and really having an input in the team. But that is a concern, and it is something that has thinking back on Maddison, as much as he's obviously a great player, I always thought it has happened at Leicester, but you put him around better players and hope, and if he can stay fit, that wouldn't happen to Tottenham, but it has happened. So that is a concern, but just because that's been a pattern doesn't mean it's doomed to repeat itself always. If he can keep himself fit and can ride that momentum of a good start to the season and not get a big injury, then there's no who's to say that he can't keep that consistency up. But if it continues to happen, that's got to be a concern. It's obviously got to be something we've got to look at for sure. We can't be having a player only play for half a season. We need a player who could be fit and in confident mood whenever he's picked to play and whenever he's available. So obviously I'm willing to give him more time, give him more seasons. And obviously we've seen in a Tottenham shirt what he can do and how good he can be. We've seen in Leicester shirt how good he can be when he's on form. But it's not a good thing. I can't sit here and say it's a positive thing because it's not. It's obviously very negative. So he's got to show that he can be consistent for a whole season. But there's no reason why he can't. I think he can. He just got to show it.
He just hasn't shown it, is the concern. And I feel like Maddison last year was pretty safe in the team. He didn't really have anyone to come and take his spot. I mean, we had Giovanni Lo Celso there, but Ash didn't seem like he wanted to give Lo Celso the chance to do it on a consistent basis. But now Lucas Bergvall is in the team and he is ready to take that spot. And he's shown on, consistently throughout pre-season. As we mentioned many times on this channel, he's been one of the, most consistent performers in pre-season. So that's got to be a concern if you're James Maddison and your performance level drops.
And Decky as well.
Decky's right
there, who's playing unbelievably in pre-season. He's really showing what an impact he can make, even be he's playing a bit of a different position. But there are players there. Midfield is stacked this year. And if Maddison is not on it, there are definitely players who can come in and you're confident can make an impact. So if he doesn't step up his game, albeit he is vice-captain, he'll be out of the team because there are players who can step in and make an impact. So he's got to make sure that he keeps on top of his game. But I think the competition might help him. Maybe it'll keep him on edge, and that's what he needs.
I think it's really important for Spurs to have a firing start to the season like we did last year, and obviously the injuries that we did get, suspensions that we got, all in the space of that Chelsea game was kind of like, I don't know, it's hard to say that's going to happen again, but I don't want to mention that because I don't want to put any bad luck towards Spurs.
I do think we're more ready for it this year, a Chelsea kind of game, than last year.
Yeah, we are, because our squad is deeper this year for sure. But what I'm saying is we've got Leicester away and Everton at home. Everton's our second game. Everton at home, 2 games in a row, and 2 games where you really think we should get 6 points. And then it starts to get difficult with Newcastle away and Arsenal. So I want us to be going into that run of Newcastle, Arsenal with the most confidence as possible. And the best thing about doing that, the best way to do that is obviously to build up really positive performances and get 2 wins under our belt in these next 2 games. And also with Dominic Solanke, we've seen it many a time before with strikers coming into this club. They go 1 game, they go 2 games, they go 3 games without scoring, and all of a sudden it becomes a thing. So I really want Solanke just to score on his debut and just to go straight at it.
Well, Soldado scored in his first 2 games.
It's true. They're both penalties, though.
Yeah, true. Was both penalties, but he did score in his first 2, and it didn't quite work out. But yeah,
Let's say open play goals.
We want, obviously, if he can hit the ground running and get that monkey off his back of getting that first goal, because I do think it can weigh on any striker.
That's what I'm saying, yeah.
The longer they go without scoring their first goal, it can weigh on their head, and all of a sudden they start overthinking things. I remember, obviously it wasn't when he first joined, but when Harry Kane, in that second season, like, he didn't score for like the first 10 games.
It was the August curse.
And you could see, like, he was playing on him. He was snatching at things. He was overthinking things. Like, he was played for on goal where Kane would be such a usually cool, calm and collected, but he was like snatching at chances. And then he got that first goal, and you could see it was like a weight off his shoulders.
And he smashed them in from there.
And he just started like instinctively putting them into the corner and stuff, like taking stuff first time when he was taking an extra touch before. And you can see, even a player like as good as Kane, it affected him when he's not scoring. So hopefully Solanke can get off and running, and that can make a big difference.
We've seen it so many times in the past, though. You just have to look at Richarlison last season, you know. When was his first goal for Spurs?
It was Sheffield, wasn't it?
Sheffield, that was quite early on in the season. But then after that, he didn't score again, till Liverpool?
I think because he had injuries. And then you're talking about his first season? His first season, he didn't score in the Premier League till Liverpool.
That's right.
His first goal was in the Champions League against Marseille, but didn't really score until Liverpool. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, we've seen it a number of times. I mean, even going back all the way to like Helder Postiga and players like that. Like, how many number 9s have we signed ever since we've been joining the club? And we're so excited to see them come in. We look at all the data. We see how they're going to fit into the team. It all looks so perfect. And then they just don't get off the ground running.
And then you've got Robbie Keane and Defoe both scored on their debut.
That's true. And Mido.
Adebayor scored on his debut.
Yeah. So look, there are circumstances that go both ways. I just really want to see Dom Solanke just get that monkey off his back straight away and then just hit the ground running. That's what we all want to see. And I feel like Locke said, he usually does score against Leicester. Sonny usually scores against Leicester as well. So we do have players in the team that like to go fox hunting, let's just say. And I feel like if we can get a goal or 2 early, I agree with him. After hearing what he says and after hearing what he says, what it's going to be like in the stadium, it could be a bit of a rout.
As well, because we're not a team to let the opposition rest on their laurels. We're going to be pressing them. If they're making mistakes, we're going to pounce on that. Last season, we were the highest in the league for turnovers in the attacking third. And for teams like Leicester who are not confident at the moment, that could definitely play into our hands. And if they're a bit nervy, they're taking too long on the ball, we're getting in their faces, we're pressing high, we're not letting them play out from the back, that could be a very dangerous situation for them. So it could really start getting dangerous if we really assert ourselves in the game.
Yeah, a new signing, Wilson Odobert. Apparently that he will be signed in time to be part of the matchday squad, which is very positive. I don't think he'll start. I think it will be Brennan on the right. But what a great option to have off the bench against tiring legs.
Yeah, brilliant. And the fact that he's so good at dribbling, he's quick, he can commit players. I think it's really, really exciting. And if I know we've got quick players like Werner and Brennan who have had some success coming off the bench when we've needed them. But I think Odobert, the fact that when he gets the ball to feet, he can really commit players. I feel like Brennan he's like only really good at running in behind, and same with Werner. Well, Werner's good at the ball to his feet, but when he only has one thing to do, which is shift to the right and then go down the line to the left, he's very good at that. He can run in behind, but and when the ball to his feet, he can be a bit limited. He's quite only good at that. Same with Brennan. With the ball at his feet, he's only really good at going down the line and then cutting it across the face of goal. So having someone with a bit of a different approach like Odegaard, who can ask different questions of his fullback and ask different questions of the defence, and maybe get into different kind of areas, someone who can go inside and outside and be just as effective, it's going to be a really good option. And I'm really excited to see him in the Spurs shirt.
Yeah. There are... some selections headaches for this weekend, which we'll get into properly in the predicted lineup. But Bissouma is obviously suspended, which you would have assumed he would have been the starting 6 going into it. You do assume it will be Bentancur. But it's the other 2 midfielders where there are question marks about, because Maddison's not going into it in great form, albeit he is coming up against his old club and he loves being that pantomime villain. And I think he will rise to the occasion in this sort of game. Kulusevski has been obviously storming through pre-season. He's got a big shout. You've got Lucas Bergvall as well, who's there. You've got Archie Gray. You've got Pape Matar Sarr, who no one's really mentioning at the moment. You've got such a list of talented midfielders which we can choose from.
100%. I guess we should go into the lineup who we're going to pick.
Well, just before that, let's just quickly go for a score prediction.
Score prediction. I am going to go. I said 3-1 in my Prem predictions. Listening to lots.
Yeah, it makes me a lot more confident.
I think I might go for 4-1 here.
You know what? After hearing him, I'm going clean sheet this weekend. I'm going clean sheet. I'm going to go. I think I'm going to go same as Locks. I'm going to go 3-0.
3-0.
I went for a tight one, 2-1 in Predict the Prem. I wish we could rewrite that now and go for a more convincing one. But usually when I say stuff like that, I get egg on my face. But let's hope for not this weekend. So I'm going 3-0. Sim's going 4-1. Let me know your score predictions in the comments section below. But let's get into the predicted lineup. Ange has been speaking. He spoke yesterday. Yesterday, I say yesterday as in Thursday because this will be going out on Saturday. Talking about the team news going into it and what we're dealing with.
So Richarlison has been training, and he said should be available for selection, but he hasn't had any match time. So whether he's going to be involved in the squad, I do reckon he will. But he has said, he's still lacking match fitness, but he has been training, so he's available. Obviously, Forster still away. He said he's got in that injury. And obviously the big headline absentee is Yves Bissouma, who is suspended for this game, an internal suspension from Spurs after he was caught inhaling laughing gas on video. So a bit of disciplinary there from Tottenham. Other than that, clean bill of health.
With Bissouma, it was interesting comments from Ange, wasn't it? Because he was saying that he's going to have to rebuild the trust of me, rebuild the trust of the team, and after a player that that was spoken about he could be potential leader in this team. Do you feel like he will come straight back in so early on as like an Everton, or do you think that this rebuilding process and the trust is going to take longer to rebuild?
Obviously, a lot of it depends on how Bentancur gets on. But if Bentancur has a good game, there's no reason to throw Bissouma back in. If Bentancur's struggling, maybe Gray will be given a chance. Or I think, look, once that suspension, if you've ended the suspension, then I think at that point you've got to say it's behind you. And if we need Bissouma and he's ready to play and we believe he's the best option, he will come back straight back in, even if it's...
it's not just the suspension, it's all about how he's conducting himself behind the scenes, and there's a lot of variables.
Agreed. So it depends on that. I mean, I don't know. I can't sit here and say how he's going to conduct himself in the week after the Leicester game. But if as long as he's doing the right things, the discipline was the suspending for the Leicester game. You can't then go on and keep punishing him for things he hasn't for that a punishment after you've put out the punishment. If he's available, I think that's the end of it after Leicester's suspension, as long as he's doing the right things.
There's one thing like being suspended so you can't play, but there's another thing, just not being selected because maybe your performance is up to scratch or you don't trust the player. And Correct. It's clear from Ange that, from what he said, there's going to be a lot of trust rebuilding. I'm just wondering how long it would take for Bissouma to regain that trust. Obviously, you don't know that. I don't know that. But it's, it's a question.
Of course. And look, as well, he's got competition for his place. He's got Gray, he's got Bentancur. And if they're doing a good job, then, Ange is not going to throw him straight back in. He's going to say, look, you've lost your place because of something you've done. These guys are doing it very good right now. I can't put you back in, and unless either their performance decrease or you show me why you should be playing ahead of them. And he's got to prove that for sure.
All right, well, let's get into the predicted lineup. 4-3-3 as per usual. Big Vic back in goal, obviously, and let's hope that there's no mishaps out playing out the back this time.
Yeah, that's obviously a big concern over pre-season. Hopefully, I don't think Leicester are going to be that high pressing, so hopefully that should suit him. And
depends how Maresca ball they're going.
Yeah, it's also true. Locke said that they're not so good at set pieces, so that should help us as well. Hopefully it's not such a busy day for Big Vic.
Yeah. Right back, Pedro Porro back in there, who I felt that was kind of like growing throughout pre-season and ended it quite well.
Yeah, and albeit I thought against Bayern he was quite badly exposed, so he's got to watch out for that. And obviously, I've been saying it, stuff at the back post with our fullbacks defending has been really bad, so he's got to watch out for that, Pedro. But we know on the ball what he provides, and I think that's going to be a large part in this game to us winning it, having players like Porro with his clever passing ability, getting the ball forward, his set pieces as well. So obviously he has to play.
Right centre-back is obviously going to be Cuti Romero, who I've predicted to be our player of the season this year. And it was just so good to see him back for those second 45 minutes against Bayern. Adds that calm to the defence, doesn't he? Ball-playing ability and obviously that aggression going into the midfield.
Yeah, and I felt like he'd never been away against Bayern. He was really good. So that's really positive going into this game. I felt like going into pre-season, maybe Dragoshin might start the season, but seeing Romero against Bayern again and how effortlessly he just slotted back into the back line, I think he's got to be starting, and he's so important to how he plays, especially with his playing out the back. It's going to be really important in this game. So, yeah, Romero, I think, comes straight back in.
Mickey van der Ven will come in at left centre-back, of course. Again, I don't think maybe he looked as strong as Romero coming in that second half. We did see a few of those recovery lung-busting runs that we're accustomed to seeing to van der Ven. But, yeah, obviously he comes back in.
Yeah, for sure. And we know that as long as we've got Van der Ven covering the back line, it's going to be even harder for Leicester to get in on the counter-attack and create any chances. So we know Van der Ven's speed is like a cheat code, and we're going to need him.
Left back will be Destiny Udogie, another one who only played 45 minutes against Bayern Munich, and that's all we saw of him of pre-season. But I was very happy with what I saw from Destiny as well.
Yeah, another player I think is ready to come straight back in. I thought his last 45 minutes against Bayern, he was getting forward, he was striding forward really well, he was doing his progressive carries, he was looking sharp, which after a long injury was really encouraging in his first appearance. He was looking physical, and he was looking like he can come back in. So he's had another week's training. I think he should be ready to start.
Is it a concern for you at all that 3 out of those back 4 only had 45 minutes during pre-season?
They look good, and also they played during the summer, didn't they? So like they've been playing football, and that should keep them fit in itself. So they're used to each other. It's not like It's not like this is a back line who don't know each other. So I'm not that concerned.
In the number 6, it will be Rodrigo Bentancur with Bissouma being banned and Archie Gray maybe. There is a case for Archie Gray because, he's used to playing this kind of opposition, Leicester in the Championship for last season. So it may be a good opportunity to give him his debut, but I do think Bentancur will be the one that's starting.
Yeah, just based off how good Bentancur looked when he came on and played the 6 against Bayern. Ange said in his press conference he named Bentancur, saying he came off the back of a good copper. He's been playing for Uruguay, and then he said he came off the bench against Bayern and looked really good. So Ange seemed to be impressed. I think he looked really aggressive. He looked it was like one of his better performances since he's come back from injury. Second time, I would say, where he's kind of looked out of sorts. So I'm thinking he's looking sharp, and he's going to be back in the team. So Bentancur in the 6.
In the 8, there is a lot of options that you can go for. You can go for Lucas Bergvall, who's been brilliant in pre-season. You go for Archie Gray, who he says that's his favourite position. You go for Pape Matar Sarr, who has obviously had a great season for us last year. But we are going to side with the pre-season GOAT in Dejan Kulusevski. I think he has been incredible in pre-season. But having said that, I still wouldn't be surprised if he goes for a Pape Matar Sarr.
I wouldn't be surprised. I just don't think you can leave Decky out right now. I think he's riding a wave of momentum where he's playing so well. He's looking so sharp. I think it'll send out the wrong message if we leave Kulusevski out, in my opinion, because he's a player who's been here for a while, and he's a player who a lot of people have doubted can fit the system, and the fact that he's playing so well in pre-season, probably being our best player, I just can't see Ange leaving him out. There is a case, does he leave Brennan out, put him back on the right? But I don't think he wants to see Decky on the right. Then does he leave Maddison out? We'll get into that in a bit. So we're thinking he did start the first game against Hearts with Decky and Maddison together. So there is precedent for them playing together. If it really isn't working out, I guess he could change it. But we're going for Decky to start this one in the 8.
Yeah, so Decky alongside Maddison. And Maddison will be coming up at his former ground, the King Power, against his former club. And like I said before, he loves being that pantomime villain. He likes riling up the fans, and I think that's exactly what he's going to do. Do you reckon there's a situation that if the Leicester fans are giving him really loads of stick, that he will celebrate if he scores?
Well, do the dart celebration maybe. I don't know. I think he's the kind of character who'll probably hold his tongue a bit and show respect to his former club, because he was there for quite a while and did so well there. So even though if they're giving him stick, there might be some occasions where he does some banter, but I don't know if he'll celebrate.
I agree. So Bentancur, Decky and Maddison in the middle 3. On the right-hand side, it will be Brennan Johnson, but you've got Wilfred Odobert waiting in the wings if he doesn't have a good showing, because Brennan Johnson, he started off pre-season well, but in the last couple of games against Bayern Munich, pretty much no-shows.
Yeah, he has to improve that. We know that in the Premier League, he got, 10 assists, and he, was quite effective, but we know in general play he still needs to work on his general play, getting involved in all facets of the game and actually being an effective player, not just in the goal contributions. And I think Odobert might be more suited to that, so he's got to watch himself. But in this kind of game, he'll be licking his lips, thinking of the opportunities he can get to feed the strikers, and I think he could have quite an effective game here.
Up front, we are going to give a debut for Big Dom Solanke, our new number 19, given his number today, and I'm very much looking forward to seeing him playing live in the flesh. What extra is he going to add to us as opposed to what Sonny did, potentially Richarlison did last season?
I just think more of a physical presence. I think he's a better presser. He's obviously better in the air as well. And I think when we're playing against teams in low blocks, I feel like his physicality in the centre will really benefit us. His ability to get in front of his man consistently when trying to get on the end of crosses. I think he's always on the move as well. He's one of these players who just never stops moving. And obviously, he's got a good finishing ability inside the penalty area. So I think he's going to make us a lot more effective when trying to pick players out in the centre. He's going to make us a lot more threatening when we're pressing from the front with his work ethic and his ability to win the ball off defenders as well, which he was one of the best last season. So I think he's going to bring a lot to the team, and just also pinning defenders back, creating that space, because I always feel like Richarlison and Son always felt the need to come back and get involved, and I think Solanke will back himself to, if the ball goes long into him, we know Son can't hold on to it. We know Richarlison also has his troubles holding on to it, but I think Solanke would back himself a lot more to hang on to it than them, so that could even push their defensive line deeper as well. So I think Solanke could create more space for likes of Maddison and Kulusevski to operate in. So I think he's going to bring a lot to the team. I'm
not even going to ask you if he's going to score this weekend. I'm just going to ask you how many.
You'll get a brace.
Brace, yeah?
Get a brace, yeah.
Hat-trick on his debut?
I wouldn't rule out.
And on the left-hand side, we're going to go for our captain, Son Heung-min, who's had a bit of a mixed bag pre-season, but I think it has been positive overall, and it's going to be great to see him back on the pitch.
Yeah, and I think obviously he had a really good time in Korea against the K-League, did really well against Vissel Kobe. He scored in the open training. His finishing was as good as ever. But obviously, when we talk about him being back on the left, the questions about him still taking on his man, all that kind of stuff. But look, I'm going to give him credit where credit's due, because I've been a big doubter about Sonny going back on the left. But since April time, he definitely has looked a lot better on the left, and he ended the season looking really good against the likes of Liverpool. When I can't remember who else we played back into the season, but he was actually playing some really good stuff back out on the left-hand side after I've been an advocate of him playing more centrally to get him closer to goal. So as long as it doesn't take away from his goal scoring, which I'm worried it will, I think him being back on the left could be a very positive thing. And we all know if he gets to the byline, he can use his left foot really well. When he cuts inside as well, we know he's got amazing whip on those crosses and could even get shots on goal. So I'm quite positive with Solanke back in the centre. I'm quite positive of the impact Son can make on the left-hand side.
Do you think it's going to have a real positive impact in his game, having someone like Solanke there in the middle who he can, a proper target man?
Definitely, I think so. Somebody who can play off, who can be a bit of a backboard. He can play 1-2s off as well, which I think he has struggled with, because for all what Richarlison's good at, like his link-up play is not the best, and I think Solanke will add that different element to it. So I think I wouldn't be surprised if you see Sonny play the ball into Solanke and make runs, to the left off him and get the 1-2, or even back inside where he can get those first-time shots off. So I think it can definitely help Sonny have that being number 9 next to him.
All right, so there you have it. That is our predicted lineup going into the first game of the season. The madness begins, people. Let's run through that lineup with you guys one more time. It's Big Vic in goal, Pedro Porro right back, Destiny Udogie left back, a centre-back pairing of Mickey van der Ven and Cuti Romero, Rodrigo Bentancur, Kulusevski and James Maddison in the middle three, with Brennan Johnson, Son Heung-min and Dom Solanke up front. Sim is going for 4-1 to Tottenham in the opener. I'm going for 3-0. After speaking to Locks, Leicester fan that we had on earlier, it's hard not to feel a lot more confident going into the game. But like I said, I want to see your score predictions in the comments section below. We did have a couple of super chats to get to. Is the link out? Oh, no one's joined.
You put it on the group.
Did you put it on the group? Jory says, if we concede 2 or more, is it time to panic? Against this Leicester team, probably.
Probably, yeah. I mean, we shouldn't really be conceding more than a goal, considering they're not even that good from set pieces. We should not be giving them that many chances. We know in the way Tottenham play, we do give up chances. I'd be more worried if we can't create chances in this game than if we do concede. But definitely defensively, we'll be aware if we're conceding more than 2. But if we can score 4, I'm not going to be that concerned.
Yeah. But do come and join us on this show if you want to have your say on the game this weekend. Everyone's got to be buzzing that the Premier League is back.
As well.
Yeah, we can talk about Odebear. 2 signings in the last week. You wait. It's like London buses, isn't it, at Tottenham? You wait so long for one to come through. Solanke comes through and Odebear comes through, 2 in the space of a week. Quite incredible stuff.
Yeah, 100%. And what's exciting is the fact that we've done it all very hush-hush, under the radar a lot. Bodes maybe well for the fact that we're still, it's fairly quiet on any more incomings. Maybe we'll get some surprises. But look, I think there's 2 positions we've been calling for. Is it the 2 players that were first on the list? You could definitely say no. But I think in terms of what we need in the squad, they definitely fit the profile, both of them. I actually think they're perfect fits.
If you want to talk about Solanke and being first choice, if we're led to believe the truth, what's going around social media and Paul O'Keefe and all these things, they said that they started working on Dominic Solanke at the back end of last season.
I'm talking about our first choice, in us.
Oh, us personally.
Yeah. It might have been Tottenham's first choice, but yeah, as long as it was Tottenham's first choice, I don't mind.
Yeah,
but
I don't think Odebear's Tottenham's first choice. I think that was clear to see.
Yeah, I think that was Neto. But for me, it doesn't bother me because I care more about, again, the profile of the player being brought in. Do they give us what we need or what we're missing? I think both of them are perfect fits. I really do.
All right, we've got our first caller. Long time since we've spoken to him. It's the Joracle all the way from Iceland. How you doing, Jory?
I'm good, guys. How are you guys?
Good. Great to see you back.
I can tell this isn't a post-game call-in when you haven't got a glass of wine drowning your sorrows with you.
Exactly. I'm working, guys. I can't be drinking all the time.
But talk to me, Jory. Give me your initial reaction to the Odebear signing.
I know very little. I mean, it seems like he's a great talent, and it seems like he has all the potential in the world. My biggest kind of worry now is that, or not worry, but I'm sure you guys have thought about this as well. With young teams, even world-class talent teams, it's often missing the experience / IQ. They make bad decisions. They have all the talents, and they make bad decisions. And I'm kind of a little bit struggling to see, I can see, sure, Sonny might be the seniority in the forward area and Romero in our back. But, I think we're going to a place where we're relying too much on potential and maybe not enough on proven experience, so... but I do like them as future signings in general, so Yeah.
Yeah, but you're looking at in the Premier League, on the European stage, even at the moment, you see players of Odegaard's age making big impacts at the moment. You see Lamine Yamal, you look at like Gavi and Pedri at Barcelona. Like you look at Man City, they've got a lot of youngsters at the moment who are coming into the team. Like, is this maybe a time where we're regenerating the team, and it's a time to like trust a lot of these young players to make a big impact in the team?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's overall the right approach for Tottenham, and like it seems to be data driven, and I've always, even though I've got my doubts around Ange now, especially in terms of the structural problems. I've never doubted the recruitment that's been around him. One thing I would say about the recruitment, I really feel this summer is marked by the absence of Fabio. I think the deal making has been problematic this summer. I think that's pretty clear to see how late we are, how much work we still need to do. But in general, I feel like the targets that we're getting are good, But I would say, Sim, to your question, these youngsters that are really like Jamal and stuff like that, they are very quickly superstars, and that's not what we are dealing with. We're not like they don't lack coverage. They don't lack fame. They very quickly become quite famous for being young and doing it already. So I don't think that's the kind of players we're getting, even though, I mean, maybe Bergwall might be an exception. He's been a known talent in Northern Europe for a while now, but I really don't have an issue with it. It's just my fear is that the whole plan here is to be more basically to kind of brute force our way through everything, with more running, with more athleticism, with more kind of mindless adherence to Anne's mantra, which I think is good that and I agree young players are more likely to do that, but I don't think that's sustainable if that's the plan. For me, the whole thing is this structural problem, and it's a tactical problem, and I don't remember ever seeing a really critical tactical problem being solved by anything other than tactics. I don't remember, watching a team that clearly has a huge gaping tactical weakness, fixing it with one transfer or two transfers or anything like that, So like for me, we already have a good squad. We have probably the best starting 11 for at least many years now, and with maybe the exception of Kane missing, So I'm happy strengthening the personnel, but I still need to see what are we going to do about the structure and tactics.
Jory, do you take any maybe confidence from what Ange has done in his previous jobs? Because he's always getting questioned about his structure, always getting questioned about his tactics. But then in the second season, these people usually do eat their words, because he goes and wins a title, he goes and wins a trophy, and he brings success to the football club. Does that give you a bit of confidence moving into this season?
I mean, I would be happy to eat my words, at least, if I get some silverware,
I'm sure you would, yeah.
I've eaten worse things than that, believe me. But like one kind of a telling kind of comment I saw Ange make about his mindset was that he talked about, there isn't a great deal of difference between a top famous player and somebody that's not that famous but really good still. It's maybe 5-10%, and that's something you can work with. Or the more important is the character. I completely agree. But on the other hand, I would caveat it with, when you're at the very top in any field, especially sport, these 5%, 2%, 3% are the factors that make you go over the line. You can't just take a 5% minus hit here and there, and then it comes down to, of course, we're being Spurs. We can't get the top guy who's got the 100% as well, so we have to compromise at some place. And I probably agree. It's probably better to compromise on the potential talent rather than the character, So, for example, a lot of people are not happy about us going for Tony. For me, Tony is not nearly the same fit, and I think people need to look a little bit deeper into Tony's stat to understand that, like Tony is a great guy with the back against goal and holding up and all of that, but front foot football, that's not really, I mean, maybe he could be great, but that's not really what the stats tell us about him, and that's not the kind of football he's been playing, really. So I think Solanke last season proved that he was a very good fit for us. But anyway, I think the overriding thing that you need to think of right now when you're building all this talent with the youngsters is who's gonna anchor, who's gonna direct them on the field, And for example, our midfield, which is the heart of the play, Bentancur for sure, but I don't know if Ants is going to give him that role.
Bissouma, well, Maddison's vice captain.
Yeah, Maddison. No, I think Maddison. That's not going to turn out too good. I think. I mean, I think he'll be in and out. I think we got the guy we saw at Leicester a little bit. He'll have some absolutely amazing periods. I hope that he will, keep professional about it. But I'm not too sure, to be honest. I think he could definitely become a player that's going to be a problem on the bench and all of that. But for me, for example, like I think Bergwall will pretty quickly establish himself. I mean, I would love to see them both, but I think between the two over the season, I'm pretty sure that we'll see Bergwall at least as much as Maddison.
Could it be Kulusevski, Jory?
Well, for me, I think if I can make some predictions for the season, I'm predicting that Porro is going to have an absolute banger of the season, and Kulusevski is going to have like a breakout season as a false nine. I think I hope he gets the time, because I think that just the way that Kulusevski works, both his physicality but also how he thinks, his football IQ, I think it's pretty perfect for a false nine, to be honest. I mean, it's going to be difficult fitting everything in, but I think going forward, we definitely have a much better chance. My biggest fear really is that, and I'm pretty sure that the teams are going to lie even deeper with us this season. And the blueprint is already there. It was there last season, and it's been confirmed this preseason as how to counter us. And if I see that in Leicester, I'm really worried, to be honest.
But last season we had a different makeup of the front line. Now we've got Solanke there. Now we've got Odeberg can come in. We've got Sonny back on the left-hand side as well. So it's a very different-looking front line. And Ange in pre-season said, his biggest concern last season wasn't, even though he could ship loads of goals, he said defending wasn't the biggest issue. He actually thought defensively we were okay. We're just missing the personnel a lot of the time. He still felt our biggest issue was going forward. And, the signings we've made, have we addressed that issue, or do you still think we're not sufficiently enough?
We've definitely addressed it. I mean, I wouldn't really put anything on the other forward players. I would just put it on Solanke. Getting Solanke in the 9 and getting now 2 guys to compete for the spot is definitely strengthening it. and I'm sure the other guys are also, like now we have two on each role, you know, which is ideal, you know. Of course, I would have liked to seen maybe still young players, but more proven, you know, maybe not as much of youngsters, but I'm okay with it. Like I gotta have some faith in that term, and I have faith in recruitment at this point. But like in terms of saying, like this is what concerns me when Anne says that, Sim. To me, it sounds like he's saying we're just going to outscore, and for me, that's not a viable approach in the Premier League. We've played outscoring football before, and it really worked beautifully. But Potts wasn't ignoring tactical holes, and you know, he was adapting, and he was tweaking whatever he could tweak, you know, and working.
We had the best defense in the league under Poch.
Yeah, exactly, and we weren't. I mean, we played front foot football, and we were high in all of that, but we were never higher than we estimated that we could recover, and we've seen that where our structure is higher than we can recover, you know, and just having a Van de Ven is a luxury for sure, but that's not a plan, you know. That's kind of like, you know, for me, that's not a viable plan. Yeah, when we have him and he's in good form, he'll save us a lot of the time. But I don't think that it's necessary to invite that risk. Although I do understand that the overload that Ants is hoping for is not going to be there if we are more careful with the line. But on the other hand, we never got the overload last season when we were sussed out, because everybody was sitting back, you know. So there's no overload to be had anyway, you know. So I think, like, when you have that situation, you need to drop one of your fullbacks a little bit, or you know, one of the defensive, one of the CDM or something takes a couple of steps backwards. Whatever it needs to be, you need to have a little bit more of a emergency break when they steal the ball off 10 or 8, you know. So yeah, so that's what I'm kind of concerned with. Like, the way I feel about it, I feel like what we've been seeing, not even Rodri would fix that, in my point of view. You know? It's not a question of getting 1-6 that's just going to fix it. That's not how I see it, you know. And of course, it's famous with the set pieces and all of that. But like the set pieces, I don't get it. I don't see in what way that's demeaning or taking anything away from the rest of what Ants wants to do. I don't get it, really, you know. For me, it's just pure blind stubbornness, you know, not to address the problem, you know.
Yeah. Well, we just got to hope and pray that Ange does make some adjustments this season, and he has done everywhere else he's been. So let's just hope it happens this season. But if I ask you to make a prediction of what Spurs can achieve this season, what would you say? League position, and can we win anything this season?
We can definitely win, but I predict we won't. I predict. Like, if I can caveat it, like if we don't see that structural/tactical change pretty quickly, I'm predicting we should be lucky to get 8th.
Wow! And if we do?
If we do, we can definitely, we should be probably 3 or 4, I think, because I think this is like the only thing. I think we really have something amazing in general. You know, I love the squad in general. So I really think we just need to get the structure. I don't care about other seasons and other leagues and Ant's history. This is the Premier League. I don't believe you can ignore tactics and have success in the Premier League.
Yeah, I do agree with that.
Yeah.
Score prediction for the weekend?
Let's end on a good note. I'm going 4-2.
4-2. Another thriller against Leicester. But I just want to say, this is just a homage to you, Jory.
Really?
My haircut, yeah.
Oh, yes. Welcome in the club, Ben. Welcome in the club. You look absolutely amazing now. We got to work on Sim, He needs to start thinking about
You're going to start lobbying me, Jory.
Yes, exactly. And we will have a talk with him next time I'm in London,
Maybe send me some of those bottles of wine. We'll see what we can do.
Yes, that will be in the post, Sim.
Looking forward.
But anyway, it's great to have the season back. I've really been missing it. I'm looking forward to it. We're gonna have a lot of fun this season. I'll at least say that. And yeah, I can't wait to follow your content as well, and also hopefully see you in person in London soon enough. So just
absolutely. Jory, what's
keep it up, guys. Great job,
Jory, what's your XG going to be for the season? Expected glasses of wine.
If Ans doesn't change the structure, it's going to be in the thousands, bro.
Big up, Jory. Look forward to seeing you when you come to London, and look forward to speaking to you throughout the season. But thank you for coming on today.
Take care, guys.
See you, Jory. Mate.
Big up to the Jorical. Let's move on and let's go to Tom. How you doing, Tom?
All right, guys. Can you hear me clearly?
Can hear you loud and clear, my friend. How are you keeping?
I will all good, mate. All good. I will pre-warn you, I am on my 4G, so I'm taking a bit of a risk, but we'll give it a go.
All right, I'm sure it'll work out well. First of all, I want to get your initial thoughts on Wilson Odobert signing.
When I initially saw it on Instagram, I was just scrolling through and I saw on the Spurs official account, I was a little bit underwhelmed. Really, I was like a Burnley player. We think as we know, Neto as a sort of more progressed players within their career and finding other sort of it's a great future. But looking for the sort of directly going to the season, I don't know if he's the guy that I was sort of hoping for. But I mean, you gave me a bit of hope with all the statistics, but the dribbling stats, all that, they seem rather promising. But we did 25 plus Lamela on Gill, and look how that turned out. Sort of taking these risks on the youngsters, 50 fit, whereas go and get Nete or a Neto, more of a guaranteed or solid player that will help progress the team forward. So yeah, it's a bit risky.
Tom, your audio keeps crackling there. We can only hear like every other syllable.
All right, mate. What I'll do, I'll have to come off because I think my signal's not too great. So I'll just.
Thanks for calling in. Hopefully, try again.
You can call in on a different signal. That'll be sorry, the audio is just can't really hear what you were saying. Unfortunately.
All right, thanks a lot, Tom. We do have another guest waiting to come on. Goes by the name of Clinton. Is Clinton there? Clinton is there.
Yeah, how you guys doing?
I'm good, Clinton. Yeah. How are you, my friend?
Thanks for calling in.
I'm okay. I'm calling in from South Africa.
Okay.
I've been a fan of your... yeah. I've been a fan of your channel for at least 4 to 5 years now.
Wow, thank you so much. Thank you so much for your support. It means a lot to us.
Yeah. No, it's a pleasure. You guys bring out very, very nice content. I enjoy the content.
Thank you, man. Thank you. And thank you for taking part. You're going to be part of the content now. And talk to me about Wilson Odobert. Good signing?
Yeah, I guess it's a decent signing. It was a bit of a shock because nobody expected it.
Yeah.
But then I guess it speaks a lot about the new strategy in terms of like the stats-based analysis and stuff. Because nobody picked it up, even Fabrizio Romano, all of these ITKs. So it was just a bit of a shock. But from what I've noticed about him, I think he was Burnley's star player,
Yeah.
or one of his best or one of the best prospects from last season.
Yeah.
So yeah, when it comes to skills wise, I feel like he has a lot of good attributes. He's very skillful. He's very quick. He's a very rapid player, and yeah, a little bit unpredictable. So for me, on my side, I'm not really, I'm not mad about it. I'm not really overly excited as well. But then I don't think it's a bad signing. I think it's just decent.
Is a part of you just underwhelmed that we haven't got a big name to come in on that side, or are you happy Spurs are kind of going for signings which are a bit under the radar, maybe getting ahead of the competition?
Okay, I wouldn't say I'm necessarily underwhelmed, but then it's more so. I know it's gonna divide a bit of the fan base because I know we have this mentality of, we always want to make signings to please rivalry fans almost. You know, people always want to get like the who's that guy, Pedro Neto, the big
Eze.
names, the Eze. Okay, Eze, I actually like Eze. I actually like Eze a lot, but then I don't think. I think he's a very good signing. I think because I feel like even Ange has been trying his best um, to try communicate to the fan base that we Tottenham Hotspur, not Real Madrid. Because I feel like sometimes we kind of get lost in translation where we want these 50, 60, 70 million targets, but then at the same time, they don't want to come to our team. You get what I'm saying? And I'm not saying we don't have a pool, but then I think he did a press conference like when he was in was it in South Korea or Japan? One of the preseason press conferences, and he did speak on that. Like, fans must be a little bit. You must kind of manage your expectations. You know?
Yeah.
I don't know if that makes sense.
No, you do. You make total sense, and I completely get where you're coming from. But moving on, looking forward to the new season now. Are you in a confident mood going into it? Do you still think we need more business? How are you feeling?
I feel like at least one more player. I feel like we need either a DM, because Bissouma, he's a little bit inconsistent. Yeah. And I feel like with him, it's not necessarily a skill thing. It's more so a mentality thing. Kind of switches off sometimes. So I don't know. So maybe a DM or... okay, I feel like our backline is solid in terms of quality. But then in terms of experience, we only got Romero, who's more of an experienced centre back and more of a matured player. So there's a bit of an imbalance. As much as we have like Van der Vaart with the pace, and we have Udogie with his attributes and what he's good at, we kind of lack a bit of that grit, a bit of that I don't know how to put it. A bit of, if we had two, I'll put it like this: if we had two Romeros.
We got Dragusin. Would be
like, yeah, Dragusin is good. He's very good. But then I feel like they're still a bit young, because if you look at the midfield and you look at the forward, we do have like senior players that have been playing for roughly the last 2-3 years at a higher level. So there's a bit more experience in the front lines. Of where else in the back line, we have a lot of quality and pace with Van der Vaart, and a lot of grit with Romero, Udogie, Pedro Porro, but a little bit lack of experience. So I feel like that's why we're conceding a lot of goals so easily. Yes, the high line does, what's the word? It does get exploited easily, but then at the same time, the little bit of lack of experience, because these guys are new and they're like young. So I feel like getting back to your question, I feel like if we could get a DM, I would really like Eze, but I feel like now our midfield is a little bit overly clustered because there's a lot of players now.
Yeah.
There's a lot of players. So yeah, so probably a DM, and I don't know. I want to say a centre back, but then I don't know. But definitely a DM.
Score prediction for the weekend for Monday night?
Okay. 2-0.
2-0 Spurs. Solanke getting on the score sheet?
Yeah. Let me just, definitely. I feel like he's gonna get a header, or a tap in. He definitely suits the system.
100%. Clinton, I want to thank you so much for calling in today, and we'll see you next time, my friend.
Okay, thanks, guys.
Peace. Big up, Clinton.
Peace.
Great call, as always. Let's keep going, and let's go to Shane. How you doing, Shane?
Hello. I'm good, thank you. How are you?
You're very low audio.
It's muffled. Is this maybe something's covering the mic? Now we can't.
Is that better?
Can't. Yeah, that's better.
Yeah, lovely.
How you doing, Shane? How you feeling coming into the season?
I'm good. I can't wait for it, honestly. I've been buzzing ever since the transfer window's opened, basically. So I'm just can't wait.
So we got the surprise news this morning about Wilson Odobert out of nowhere. We got an official announcement on his signing. We needed another winger. So what's your opinion on if he fits the bill?
When I first saw it, I was a bit like, why have we done that? I think we needed a winger that is proven in the Premier League. Again, someone like Neto, which I know we can't get anymore. And I was a really big fan of Eze. I really wanted Eze, but I don't think that'll happen anymore. But after looking into him, seeing what he can do, I think it's a good signing. I think he fits. I think our plan is to have. What I can imagine is happening is we're signing a lot of players to not only possibly injuries to back up for injuries, but also maybe future-proofing for maybe next year if we get into Champions League, having enough players to fall back on if people do get injured and stuff like that. That's my thought process, but I think overall it's a good signing.
Yeah. Do you still think we have a lot of business left to do? How many more do you think we're going to get, or how many more do you think we need?
I can see us possibly making one more in the centre mid position or the CDM position, but I don't think we're going to do any more than that. I don't see what we could do more than that, what we would need. I think we're in a good spot now.
Do you think that leaves us a bit light? Maybe if Destiny gets injured at left back, what do we do? And maybe left centre back as well. I mean, Ben Davies is still there, I guess.
Yeah, I think Ben Davies, I think, will stay. And I think left back, I think we'll just have Jed Spence, possibly playing both sides. But I don't know. I don't think we'll get a left. I don't think there's any good ones on the market that I think it will suit our style at the minute. Possibly we'll find one, but I don't know.
So considering Ange before the season started said our biggest problem is going forward, and he said he really wanted to address the forward line and get big improvements in the forward line. This summer we've signed Werner, Solanke, Odobert. I guess you can put Bergvall in there as well. Is that? Are you happy with that? Is that sufficient for you to achieve our aims?
Yeah. I've loved every signing we've made this season. I think Ange is so good with who he signs. Like he did it at Celtic. He didn't make one sign in Celtic. Like everyone he has signed, I think will be good for our team. I think that we will have the forward people we've signed are all attacking, fit the style that Ange wants to play. I think it works really well.
Yeah, and in terms of the way Ange wants to play, there's, you know, a lot of worries within certain people in the Spurs fan base about how open we are at the back, how poor we look from defending those set pieces. How much of a concern is that for you going into this season?
Repeat that again. Sorry, you just cut out for me. Sorry.
I said that, you know, there's a big concern within sections of the fan base, or, you know, a lot of the fan base about how open we are at the back, how poor we are at defending those set pieces. How much of a concern is that for you? And do you think Ange will get that right eventually?
Yeah, I do think, yeah, that is one thing I'm worried about for this season. I think we are very weaker in the defensive area. I think because we play such attacking football, a lot of the back can tend to be open. So it is something that I'm worried for. But I think we'll in training. Obviously, we don't know what's happening behind the scenes, but I think they are working on that, and I think they will fix that for hopefully for next season. And I think top 4, top 3.
Top 3, I like it. I predicted top 3 as well.
Top 3 and a trophy, or is that too much to ask for?
I think, you know
Come
what?
on, Shane, bring the trophy home, man. Bring it home for us.
I know this is going to be unpopular. A lot of people won't agree with me, but I don't see us bringing a trophy home this season. I think next season is a very likely possibility.
Man.
It's always next season, Shane. It's always next season.
I know.
The season hasn't even started and it's already next season.
I just think we have so much youth in our squad that this season I just don't think the youth people will be able to step up enough to win a trophy. But I think next season they'll have that year's training. You know, we will be able to step up and win a trophy next season. I don't see it happening this season, unfortunately.
Watch his opinion change after a Solanke brace on.
Yeah, exactly. Solanke hat-trick on the weekend, and that's it. It's all going to change. It's all coming home. But Shane, what is your prediction going into Monday night?
I think Leicester will be better than I think a lot of us are thinking they will be. On my predictions for the Premier League, I have them not going down. I have them just about making out of the relegation. So
there is a points deduction looming over them.
I know. I've heard that. I still think they will come out of it somehow.
Okay,
I just think with their performance in Championship, I think they'll get out of it. But I think the prediction for Tottenham v Leicester is I'm going to say 2-0 for us. I think we won't score more than 2. Or me personally, I don't think that. And I think their side they'll focus heavily on defence. I think because I think they'll know that we play very attacking, so I think they'll defend us very well.
So a clean sheet to Spurs and 2 goals. Yeah. Who's going to get the goals? Solanke?
I think one will come from Solanke. Hopefully, I'm hoping so. And who will get the other? I think. You know what? Because I love him so much, I'm going to go Maddison. Whether that happens, I don't know. But I'm going to go Maddison.
Against his old club, on his old stomping ground. I like it.
Yeah.
But Shane, thank you so much for coming on today. And have a good weekend and come on, you Spurs.
Yeah.
Nice one, Shane.
You too. Come on, you Spurs.
Yeah, well. Big up to you, Shane. Let's keep going and let's go to James. How you doing, James?
Good. How are you?
Yeah, good. Thank you, mate. We can hear you, but you are a bit soft. Can you turn your volume up?
Yeah, let me see. I might have to come closer. I'll speak a little louder.
Right.
Is that okay?
It's a bit better.
Okay.
So where you coming from? The US?
No, Canada.
Canada.
Oh, Canada. Where in Canada are you calling from?
Ottawa, the capital city.
All right, nice to have you, my friend. Nice to have you. We've got a lot of Canadians that call into the show.
Nice, thank you.
So, but he's not in the same city as Daigle, is he?
No, Daigle's Toronto.
Shame.
I'm same province, so state. Toronto's not far from Ottawa, about 5 hours.
You got to get yourself down to the Scotland Yard in Toronto, the Spurs pub.
I know. There's a little bit of a community in Ottawa. There's about like 15 of us, but it's slightly underwhelming.
Fair play.
Need to get Daigle to move to Ottawa then, I think.
Daigle will improve that, for sure. But what was your initial reaction to the Odegaard signing this morning? Completely out of the blue, took us all by surprise. Are you happy with it?
Yeah, I am. I'm happy with it. I think that it suits the type of player that we've been going for all transfer window. I was actually at the gym and I was on YouTube looking for some music to play, and I saw an Odebear compilation highlight with a Spurs jersey pop up on my feed. I thought, oh, that's weird. I haven't seen a single link to Odebear all summer, and I immediately went to Twitter or to X, and I saw that it had basically been done. So yeah, that was a complete shock. But I think it's a great signing. I think that he's obviously not going to start right away, but 19 years old, had a good season last year for a first year Prem player. I think it's a great signing. It's exactly what we need. He's good at taking his man on. He's pacey. I mean, 3 goals. I don't remember exactly how many goals he had. 3 goals last year.
Yeah.
3. So I think that's a pretty good return for an 18-year-old or 19-year-old in their first season in the Premier League for a relegated side. I think that's a pretty great return. For the price, I think that's fair. It's just what players are going for nowadays.
What would you say to fans who argue, this is another example of our lack of ambition? We should have gone for, pushed harder for players like Neto and Eze and Bakayoko, when we should have spent more money, and, relying on a teenager from Burnley isn't going to get us success. What would you say to those kind of fans?
I mean, well, we missed out on Neto, and I honestly don't think that we were willing to pay the full 60 mil for Neto. I don't think we had the money available because I think the rumor was that we offered a player and cash for Neto. So I don't necessarily think that we had the money to spend, because we already spent 60 on Solanke. When was the last time we've spent that much in one window, right? So I personally don't think the money was even there to spend all on one player. So I don't think it lacks ambition at all. Odebear's several years younger than Neto. Neto's a risk in and of itself because of his injury history. He only had 2 goals, like you guys said, last year. I mean, I don't think that it lacks ambition at all. I think that this is another signing for the future, and that's where we are at the moment. We're in our second season, but we're still in transition, right? We're making a ton of young signings, and this is just another one. I don't think it lacks ambition at all. And I mean, if he displaces Johnson in the starting 11, which he may well do because of Johnson's underwhelming performances so far this preseason, then I think that's a great thing. I mean, he's gonna be getting older and improving with Gray and Bergvall. It's clear what we're doing. I think it's a great signing. I think it's right. It's exactly what we needed.
And when you look at the business that we have done, obviously you're very happy with it. How much more do you think we need to do from now until the end of the window?
We definitely need a backup left back, center back for sure. I think that's the one hole in our lineup. If Udogie gets injured, I know we've seen Spence play there, but personally, I don't think that he's good enough to play on the left side. I prefer him to stay on the right as our right back replacement. And unfortunately, I know Ben Davies has been a great servant for us for a long time. I just don't think that he's up to the standard that we need, especially if Udogie, who's much better at this point in time. I think if for some reason he gets injured, which he did last year, he just came back from an injury, so it's very possible that he could get injured. So I think that's one position we really need to focus on. And besides that, I would say we're all right at everywhere else. We could definitely do with maybe another midfielder, but besides that, I think most would agree that we're pretty well stocked up everywhere else in the lineup besides left back. Yeah.
So you're confident that we're all set for a improved season next season, given, we petered out quite badly last season, finishing 5th. We want to see progress next season. Do you think we've done enough business to, show that improvement?
I think so. It's going to be difficult to tell because, I mean, we've signed young players, whereas you look at Villa, who have, for the most part, they've signed players for the now. So I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing on our part. I think we're just thinking, a few years ahead. But if you look at Villa, they've signed a ton of players, but they signed Ross Barkley, they signed Onana. Those are players who are Prem proven, that are experienced. So they're improving as well. So it'll be tough to say. And I mean, for me, I think anywhere between 3rd and 8th is going to be, it's going to be in a dogfight. I think there's no telling where anybody's going to finish. I hope, obviously, I hope we'll improve, but it'll be difficult to tell.
So, in terms of your positivity coming into the season, what do you think Spurs can achieve? You say anywhere between 3rd and 8th, but where are we going to finish?
I hope we get Champions League. I think that should be the aim. I think Champions League would be a signal of improvement. So I'll say 4th place. That's one place better than we finished last year, and I think most people would be happy with that. It's one place we finished.
Are you brave enough to say that we're going to win a trophy?
I think the Carabao Cup. I'll say the Carabao Cup. I think that's the most realistic at this point in time. City and unfortunately Arsenal are too far ahead in their projects. So I don't know. I think we can always win the Carabao Cup. What is it, like 4 rounds, 4 or 5 rounds? I think anybody can win that.
Score prediction for the weekend? Europa League. That's the one. Yeah.
Yeah. I think we have a chance at the Europa League too, for sure. Especially with no Champions League teams coming down from the Champions League. Yeah.
All right. What's your score prediction for?
All right.
I'll take one.
What's your score prediction for Monday night?
I'll go 4-1. I think that
4-1.
We always concede, so I'll give Leicester a goal, and I think that based on what your guest said earlier, I feel confident we'll score quite a few. I think Solanke will get a goal for sure.
Big up, James. Thank you so much for coming on, and have a good weekend.
Thanks, James. Great call.
Yeah, you too. Take care.
Cheers, mate. Bye-bye.
All right, 4th and a double. I'll take that.
I will take that
I'll take that all day long.
Let's go on to Isof.
Hope that's pronounced correctly.
Did I pronounce your name right?
No, it's Esiove.
Esiove. How are you doing, my friend?
Good. How are you?
Yeah, good, thanks. Obviously, getting all very excited for the new season. New player came in today in Wilson Odobert, followed on from Dominic Solanke last week. What's your initial reaction to the surprise signing today?
I was confused at first because I had no clue who that was, because I woke up and just seen me sign a new player. But after watching a few clips, I'm like, oh, this is the exact player I wanted. Because originally I wanted us to get Antonio Nusa.
Yeah.
That was a player that could go 1v1, create stuff on the wing. And I was kind of disappointed. Are we going to have to watch Solomon and Werner fight for a spot on the team? But once the scene we saw him, I was calm. I was like, okay, this is the type of winger I want at this club.
So in the space of an hour or two, you've gone from not knowing the player to being like, this is the perfect player for us.
YouTube compilation strikes again.
Yeah.
Brilliant. But in terms of like the kind of winger we need at this football club, why do you think he fits the bill?
Because I think our problem when we go into or play teams with a low block, you obviously can't play through the middle. So you need to use your wide players. And if you don't have wide players that can't beat their man and get a ball into, say, Richarlison or Solanke, then that's where the build-up play and the way Ange wants to play falls apart. So the player that can take on their man and then whipping a ball in, that's exactly what we needed.
And you think he's the perfect guy for that?
Maybe not perfect, but as in profile, definitely, yeah.
And in terms of the other business that we've done this window, Archie Gray, Dominic Solanke, Bergvall has come in this window as well. Are you happy with the business? Do you want more still to come in?
I would prefer maybe one more right winger that could also beat their man on the wing, but as in business-wise, I think we've done pretty well, at least for now.
Yeah, and so you're gearing up to a big season. You think we can do really well this year?
Yeah, but I still think that this isn't the season that Angel signed, because, I think a lot of Spurs fans forget that we are still rebuilding. No club within their first 2 seasons wins something big. And we've already said that, or made it well known that Angel's going to be with us for the long term. So if we win anything, I'll be buzzing. I have 5 Arsenal friends that always call me. But if we don't, I won't be too disappointed because, like I said, no rebuild wins something in the first 2 years. It's a rebuild. It's a process going through.
So looking at how we've improved the team, Do you think these improvements are sufficient enough to see us progress this season?
Definitely. I definitely think they're all a step in the right direction, especially for the future of this club as well. For all the young players from the academy and then the young players that we are bringing in. And I feel like there's going to be more younger players that are going to be coming in and mixed with experienced players that will just make us a real threat in the future.
So what does progression look like this year? Obviously, we finished 5th last year, went out on a whimper in both the cups. Are you just looking for top 4 and maybe like a deep run in the cups? Is that what you're looking for this season?
Kind of, yeah. But I feel like the biggest improvement I would see is if we're able to beat a low block and just able to figure out how to get him past the low block. Because I feel like once we do that, then that's when he'll be like, okay, now we can work on set pieces and ironing that out. Now we could work on transitioning from attack to defense, how to stop those attacks and stuff like that. I feel like once Ange gets the team to attack and beat almost any team in attack, that's when we'll begin to iron out everything else, and then we'll be the perfect team to try to win the treble.
The treble. The treble's in your sights already. I like it. I like it.
Yes, sir.
But going into this weekend against Leicester, are you confident going into the game? You think we're well equipped?
I would say so, yeah. Hoping for a 3-1.
3-1. 3-1. I mean, we had a Leicester fan come on before, and he was, I don't know if you saw it, but he was just very downbeat. He said he wouldn't be surprised if Spurs won 5-0 this weekend.
Wow. I would love to see it. 5 goals and a clean sheet would be amazing, but I think it would be realistically either 3-1 or 3-0.
Yeah. You think Dominic Solanke will hit the ground running this weekend?
I don't know about hit the ground running because it's only been 2 weeks, but he fits our play style and all that, so you never know. I think we'll get a lot of chances in this next game, and then the next game he'll really shine on for us.
All right, big up to you. Where are you calling from?
Right now I'm coming from America, living in Tennessee.
Tennessee.
All right, nice one. Thank you for. Is this the first time you're calling in?
Yeah, but I think I've been watching you guys for almost a year now. So you guys make very good Spurs content. This is the first time I've been like really engulfed with like other Spurs fans and stuff. Usually it was just watching it on my own and stuff like that. But it's been nice to be part of the actual Tottenham community.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, keep calling in, my friend.
Will do. Y'all have a good one.
Yeah, thanks for calling in. See you soon. Big up to you. I think that is it. All right. Well, big up to everyone. That's us over and out for the weekend. We'll be back Monday. Sim is in the studio with Barnaby for the watch-along. I'll be in the stadium with Barry singing Something Inside So Strong to find that win. Bring home that 3 points for the studio on Tuesday. But big up to you. See you all very soon. Like, subscribe and comment. And as always, come on you Spurs.